At police headquarters, 44-year-old Eric Erminger is brought in for questioning regarding a murder. Earlier that morning, on May 19, 2012, Eric made a shocking discovery upon waking up. His 28-year-old girlfriend, Jennifer McKinley, was lying lifeless on the ground. She was dead, with bruises all over her body. Eric's mother, who had also witnessed the scene, immediately called 911.
Eastern Fire Medical, what is your location? Woodland Hills. What is your emergency? I think it's a murder. And have you started CPR, ma'am? No. Deep cold. I'm going to need child services, too. There's a little boy here. Okay. You need to get here as soon as you can.
When officers arrived at the residence, they noticed that the house was in disarray. It was documented that Jennifer likely died from strangulation. Law enforcement made sure that Ben McKinley, Jennifer's 8-year-old son, is safe and well. He was asked basic questions and commented only that he heard something in the early hours, but went back to sleep and didn't see anything. Since Eric was the last person to see Jennifer alive, he was taken to police headquarters for an interview. They are either expecting a valid alibi from Eric, which could wrap things up quickly, or a confusing line of arguments that would complicate things further.
Sorry I had to move you. Sorry. The importance of our discussion today is to get as close to the truth as we can possibly get to. Okay?
I left work at like 7. There's a bar, like a little dive bar right on Greens and 59. That's my way home.
Okay.
So me and Buddy stopped, had a beer, had a couple beers, and somebody else bought us. I played a couple games of pool, and I realized that, I'm not going to drive.
How many beers did you think you had?
I probably had probably 9.
Detectives concluded that the victim, Jennifer McKinley, had most likely died between 2 a.m. and 3 a.m. Their efforts to determine what exactly happened before her death are hindered by the fact that Eric had gone out drinking that night and allegedly forgot most of what occurred. Although Eric was the first person to get interrogated, detectives also know of 2 other suspects in this murder investigation, one of whom had been in contact with Jennifer on the night she died.
So I called Jennifer, come and get me. She's like, okay.
You remember what time this was? Roughly? Before midnight, after midnight?
Oh, it was before midnight. I would probably say 9:30, 10 o'clock.
What is her attitude on the phone when you call her?
She's probably pissed.
Not happy?
Yeah.
When she does come and pick you up, does she have Ben with her?
No. When she came walking in, that's when I asked her if you left Ben in the car. She said, I left him with a neighbor. I finished my beer and we left.
This moment is crucial in the interrogation and will set the tone for what the detectives will have to endure. Eric Erminger clearly remembers the timeline of events leading up to the bar, finishing his shift, driving there, having multiple drinks, and playing pool. However, from the moment his girlfriend picks him up, his memory goes blank. This will have the detective seriously wondering, is Eric trying to claim alcoholic amnesia?
I want you to close your eyes. And we're not hypnotizing or anything like that. But what we're going to try to do is, I want you to go into compartments from the time that Jennifer shows up at the bar, and you walk out of the bar, and I want you to envision this stuff. I want you to see yourself doing these things, and then start to talk about what you're doing.
When I finished the beer, we walked out the parking lot. There was pretty much no talking.
And you pulled into the apartment complex.
I don't remember getting into the apartment.
As someone whose girlfriend was pronounced dead just hours earlier, Eric doesn't display grief, but rather a somewhat cold composure. This in itself, however, isn't necessarily a sign that he's hiding something. Individuals who are faced with traumatic events often exhibit a delayed emotional processing. The realization that someone close has died can take several days to fully sink in. The detective is trained to distinguish between a psychological defense mechanism and someone who is a cold-blooded killer.
Okay, well, let's think back. This is the part that's very important here about opening up those compartments that you've closed off for whatever reason, because at that point, this is where it becomes critical. Think back at that point when you get inside the apartment. Does Jennifer bring back the discussion now about having to pick you up, having to leave benefit? Where does it go from there?
Even when I'm trying to even trace my steps, I'm not even, there's a blank there.
Think back. I mean, again, there's no pressure here.
No, and I know, and I'm not, like I said, I don't remember hitting the apartment, and I would have went right to bed. Do you want me to make up something?
No, I want you to tell the truth. I told you that's all my job is. I'm a truth
telling you the truth. I'm trying to get there, but it's...
Accepting that Eric either genuinely forgot or is purposefully withholding information about what happened, the detective employs another strategy by asking personal questions about his family. This approach aims to encourage Eric to open up and identify possible motives that could imply him as the killer of his girlfriend.
He's like my best friend, so I can't...
Oh, well, hey, man. Let me tell you what I've got. I have a son, and I feel the same way. Well, let's talk about Jennifer.
Jennifer, I think it was like 4 or 5 years ago. She had just finalized her divorce, and we just kind of hit it off. Well, she had a little boy, and for both of us, it was just like a companionship thing. It was just the little things, she would never put the top on, right? The toilet paper, whatever. Wouldn't squeeze the toothpaste from the bottom of them,
And when you all have these arguments that every couple has, I've been married for almost 30 years, and I can tell you there have been some wrangling.
I am quick to anger. With her, she liked to press. Just leave me alone. Leave me alone. Just leave me be. Leave me be. Leave me be. Stuff's been thrown.
Anything physical between you and her?
Yes.
What have you done?
I grabbed her and actually pushed her away. I'm trying to get away. She'll jump in front of the door. Right. I just need to get some air. Let me out. I'll come back. No. Don't leave. Jump in front of the door. Jennifer, please, baby, get out of the way.
Compared to the beginning of the interrogation, Eric now appears much more open to talk, disclosing signs of a toxic relationship with Jennifer. The detective acknowledges that arguments might be common in relationships, but he is aware of a much darker side of Eric. Law enforcement evaluated phone records and uncovered text messages between Jennifer and a neighbor by the name of Mike. Jennifer frequently messaged Mike, expressing that her relationship with Eric was abusive and exhausting, with the last message sent just hours before her death. Ironically, this very neighbor became a suspect in the murder investigation after someone in the apartment complex raised concerns that he might be involved in the murder. Messages alluded that he wanted a more intimate relationship with Jennifer, stating that Eric doesn't deserve her. Jennifer, however, did not reciprocate romantic feelings for Mike. The neighbor was later cleared as a suspect, leaving only Eric and an unidentified person as the main suspects.
From the time that Jennifer shows up at the bar and you walk out of the bar, and I want you to see yourself doing these things and then start to talk about what you're doing.
She comes into the bar, she keeps bugging me to go.
And you're telling her what?
I'm telling her, let me finish these beers.
Yeah.
I'm trying to slam them down, she keeps pulling.
You're on the way home, driving, and they pulled into the apartment complex.
I would have went right to go into the bedroom and pass out, basically with my clothes on and everything.
It's like a big puzzle here. We've got the framework of this puzzle. We know that you were at the bar. We know that you called Jennifer. We know that she picked you up. You're intoxicated, and you get to the apartment. And now here's where it becomes critical. Because once you and Jennifer cross the threshold of that apartment, then something starts to be placed in motion.
I don't remember.
The defense of alcoholic amnesia is commonly thought of a way to bypass the legal system. While there might be cases where intoxication was used as a mitigating factor to reduce the severity of the charges, the chances of such a defense being successful are generally extremely low. Eric Erminger recounts the timeline of events clearly. However, once they entered the apartment, he remembers absolutely nothing. What makes this explanation particularly bizarre is that when police officers arrived at the house of the couple following the 911 call, Eric Erminger locked himself in the bathroom, armed with a sword, threatening officers that he would hurt himself. It is obvious that Eric perfectly remembers that something happened, and with everything pointing back to him, the detective's primary goal is to get a confession.
Either something accumulated and let the evil override the good. But it had to start with something that Jennifer said or did. Either told you, get the hell out of this apartment, don't want you here anymore, but something that you were not going to put up with anymore. Because you were drunk, it drops inhibitions. This alcoholic amnesia or this selective I don't remember stuff, I'm just telling you, man, it is not going to look sincere.
Well, and then I guess I'm just... I don't know what else to say, because I literally do not remember.
You have been a part of this woman's life. You guys have had your ups and downs like everybody else has, but something broke. And it broke to the point where a person who never would ever think of doing something like this to the woman he loved snapped and did it. You killed her. When you got up that morning and you looked down, I guarantee you the first thing that went through your head was, holy did I really do that? Because you do remember what happened and you remember what set it off. You saw her, she's blue, she's cold, she's dead. And she is dead at your hand. And I will guarantee you the first thought you had was, holy I did that.
Yeah, you're right, I killed her.
In a sudden turn of events, Eric admits to killing his girlfriend. Without this confession, prosecutors would be dealing with a circumstantial case. It is now in the detective's best interest to determine a motive for the murder.
It's part of my responsibility to go back and try to explain to those people.
I understand.
The unanswered question. And what do you think that is? Why?
I would like to know myself.
It's coming across to me as being deception. It's not being a lack of memory. It's for whatever reason, and I'm trying to get in your head to figure out, you've already admittedly said you killed her.
I am being totally truthful with you. I do not remember. I don't remember her interacting with me. Somehow I gave myself a pie, and I don't know how to change it to sugar.
During the court trial, Eric Erminger pleaded guilty to charges of murder. He never commented on a reason for killing his girlfriend and maintained that he doesn't remember exactly what happened. Detectives concluded that in the early hours of May 19, 2012, Eric and Jennifer McKinley had an argument over cheating allegations, which ended with Eric strangling her to death. Ben McKinley, Jennifer's 8-year-old son, slept in a nearby room and was woken by a noise between 2 a.m. and 3 a.m. He went to the living room but saw nothing and went back to sleep. It is estimated that Jennifer had already died by that time. Around 6 a.m., Eric made breakfast for Ben. Hours later, he called his mother saying that he, quote, killed his girlfriend and would commit suicide. Eric Erminger was sentenced to 40 years in the Texas Department of Corrections on charges of murder. Ben McKinley was placed with the biological father. In August 1985, 27 years before Jennifer McKinley was murdered, Tammy Wright, a single mother, moved to Houston to escape an abusive boyfriend. One morning, police discovered 3 bodies in an apartment. All had been shot to death. Jennifer McKinley, then a 2-year-old toddler, was the only one unharmed. She had just lost her mother. Detectives suspected that the same perpetrator might be involved in Jennifer's murder. However, DNA evidence did not lead to any individuals, and with Eric Erminger confessing to Jennifer's murder, the case of Tammy Wright remains unsolved. Charlie and Norma Wright, Jennifer's grandparents, couldn't help but recognize the eerily similar circumstances in which they lost their daughter and granddaughter. Jennifer McKinley's life tragically began and ended with violence. She was buried next to her mother, Tammy, in Alabama.